The press conference happening at Reagan Airport this morning. What we're listening to right now, I believe, is the Secretary of Transportation. But earlier today, we heard from the fire chief who has confirmed there are no survivors in this crash. 67 people involved in this crash, including soldiers, family members and crew members of American Airlines. We have brought in for us this morning from Brampton is aviation analyst Phil Doherty. Phil, I know that you were watching this press conference, and I'm curious on your thoughts of what you heard so far this morning.
Out is very sketchy. There's not sure exactly how the two aircraft collided. They know that the CRJ was on a short final. It was about 375 feet off the ground, doing about 120 knots. So the guys would have been focused on landing the aircraft. We have to find out from the black boxes, did the TCAS, the traffic collision avoidance system, did it activate? Did it warn the pilots at the very last minute? We're not sure exactly what happened. So we're waiting to see.
And Lindsey is sitting nearby as well, Phil, so she's going to jump in with some questions.
Yeah, I do want to ask you about that avoidance system, because we know that that's in sort of, commercial aircraft. Would that be in the military helicopter as well?
I'm not exactly sure if it is installed on the military aircraft. They do have different, on the military airplanes, they do have I can't remember the name of the system, Information Friend or Foe, IFF. And so I'm not exactly sure if they have the S transponder and if it was activated or not.
Phil, how familiar are you with this airport? We've been talking about the location of this airport all morning long. We're showing our viewers live pictures of the now recovery operation that's underway. The proximity to the water, the proximity to, downtown D.C. Tell us a little bit about this location.
Well, the D.C. airport is it's congested airspace. There's a lot of traffic going in and out. There is restricted airspace because of the White House, because of the Congress and all that. So it is, the pilots have to be really on point. The aircraft seem to have a normal approach. It was coming into runway 1. They switched it over to 33, and that's when the collision happened.
Secretary of Transportation Sean Dunphy said something that I thought was interesting. It was a clear night, so he set up the conditions for the evening. He said it was a standard flight pattern for the helicopter. It was a standard flight pattern for the passenger plane. So how then could this collision happen if it was presumably business as usual?
I'm not exactly sure. There is a pathway going through down the Potomac where the helicopters fly. The flight pattern that the CRJ was flying was absolutely normal. So we're not exactly sure. We're going to have to listen to what the air traffic control was doing at the point in time and go from there.
One of the interesting conversations happening this morning, Phil, which I'm sure you've heard as well, is the fact that air traffic control was contacting the helicopter and verifying with them, do you see that American Airlines flight? We've heard that they said they thought they had seen it, or they said they did see it. Talk to us about the importance of visual recognition when it comes to final.
Well, one of the things is that the air traffic controllers will have all the aircraft on their screen, and if there is some sort of potential conflict, the air traffic controllers will advise both aircraft: do you have the traffic in sight? The CRJ, the pilots would have been looking face down; they would have been head down, looking at the approach because they were so close to the runway. So, calling the helicopter, do you have the traffic? Because they were low and slow, they have the more maneuverability, where the CRJ is like on that straight path into the runway. So we'll have to hear what the air traffic control said.
If you're just joining us this morning, we are speaking live to Phil Doherty, who is an aviation analyst. We just came out of a live press conference, I think it's still ongoing, about this crash. The big headline coming out of that is they do not believe there are any survivors of the 67 people involved in this crash, 64 people on board the American Airlines flight, and 3 on board that helicopter. What you're looking at now is the Potomac River. This is where that recovery mission is now taking place. You can see the boats out there on the water. This happened around the distress call, I understand, came in around 8:48 last night. Crews have been on the water. We learned there were 300 people called to this scene. It was dark. The water was cold, around 1 or 2 degrees. In fact, there's ice on top of the water. And Linz, as you pointed out earlier, it is moving water. All of these plus, it was in the dark. So all of these making for very big challenges for rescue, search and rescue teams and recovery teams now. Phil, what happens in an investigation like this at this stage?
Well, right now, the primary importance is to recover the bodies, get them back to their family members so they can have some closure. From there, they're going to be examining the wreckage, mapping it all out. They're going to be looking for the two black boxes, the orange black boxes, which are located in the tail section of the aircraft. And they'll be able to take those out, send them off to be analyzed, and then they'll start to recover the pieces and parts of the aircraft. Now, they're also going to be, there's going to be environmental studies to see what kind of impact it has on the environment because of the fuel and the oil on board the aircraft. So there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts right now. Everybody's going to have to do their job and get the aircraft back out of the water.
Phil, and this was a mid-air collision. I mean, how rare is this? I can't remember the last time something like this happened, especially in North America.
It's very rare, and especially being that close to the approach path, it's boggling to see to like even fathom how this could actually happen. Air traffic control should have been on point. We should have made sure that the aircraft were well separated. So we're not exactly sure how this happened, but we know what did happen. And it goes as the aircraft was coming close to the approach. There wasn't any time if the aircraft was recoverable. That type of an impact at 375 feet, it doesn't take long for the aircraft to hit the water.
Phil, if you can set up for us as well, just sort of like the velocity, the speed of these planes and what they were traveling, given where they were at in their either descent or ascent when they would have collided.
Right. Well, this CRJ would have been on its final approach. It'll be doing about 120 knots, about 135 miles an hour. It's going to be in a slightly nose-down attitude on a what we call a 3-degree flight path. So the nose would have been pointed down just ever so slightly, and they would have been set up to land the aircraft. So like I said, their focus is right there. The runway is right in front of them. So they're just focusing on the landing. And like I said, they got impacted from the side, it looks like.
All right, Phil Doherty, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. It's great to have your insights as we continue to try and bring information to you. Again, of that crash that happened last night, there are believed to be no survivors of the 67 people who were involved. And of course, we've been playing clips from family members who've been waiting at the airport, waiting for a text, waiting to know what happened to loved ones. This is devastating news for them, and we will continue to follow this morning. If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.